The topic of this workshop is How Long Do I Have to Come? Our speakers will be Tanya J. and James M. And so I will turn the workshop over to them.
Hi family, my name is Tanya. I'm a blessed recovering addict.
Hi Tanya.
Hi back. And I just want to give honor to God for being the head of my life, my strength, my redeemer. I want to tell you that it's a good day to be clean. You know, thank God I'm clean today. I was born in New York. I moved down to Georgia about 14, going on 15 years ago. My home group in New York is real important that if you're ever in New York, I suggest that you go and visit it. It's About Change Group. And I started on this journey over 24 years ago. And I found it unnecessary to get off this journey. My current home group is called Far From Using. It's down here in Georgia, in Snellville, Georgia. We meet there on Sundays, and we meet there at 7 o'clock p.m. to help each other stay clean. It's real funny because when they told me and they called me about this topic, you know, I keep having it go in my head after all these years, why do I still keep coming? And I keep coming because of my inability to accept my own personal responsibility and the mess that I made. That's why I'm here today. And I'm still continuing to deal with some of the wreckage of my past. I want to tell you, when I first got here, there was nothing here but dope fiends when I got here. They had them big old hands. And I was a crackhead. And I said, how in the hell did I get here? Like, it happened to these kind of people. And as I kept coming and I sat in those meetings, I want to tell you that those people gave up their truth. And I sat there and I remember sitting in those meetings and I remember saying to myself, I ain't do that. I ain't do this. I ain't do that. Yeah, you did that? That's why you belong here. And my sponsor said to me in a loving, caring way, very quietly, she bent over to me and she said, you know, Miss Got Your Shit Together, people who got their shit together don't come to Narcotics Anonymous. And right then and there, she told me to learn how to identify and not to compare. She told me if I keep coming, I would hear my story. I want to say to you that, you know, we hear about, I was just talking to one of my girlfriends and it was like, you know, we don't share everything in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. And I'm here to tell you that if you get into the literature, you'll hear what the literature tells us. That's the program. And it says anything that disrupts your recovery, that makes you feel uncomfortable, you share. See, I don't have a luxury of selecting what I'm going to share and when I'm going to share it, because I thank God for my predecessors that came in there and took a risk and shared their truth about some things that they did they wasn't too proud of. Because I don't know about any of y'all, like I wasn't a nice addict, you know, and she can show up at any time, even in recovery. And she's like a little monkey that I keep in a cage. And there's certain things that will trigger her, and she wants to come out and play. But through the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, I've learned to like keep that monkey in the cage so it don't turn into a gorilla. You know, my disease is like Tasmanian devil. Like when it comes out, like it destroys everything in its way. All kind of relationships. I want to tell you that I'm grateful that I came, and when I came here, I was 25 years old. And I was young. And I heard those old timers say, you don't have to go through what I went through. It talks about in our literature that the addict that comes to Narcotics Anonymous today are more fortunate than the addict from yesterday. And it was, because when I got here, we only had a basic text. And since I've been here, there's some other books that have been written, like how it works. Because we wanted more. Y'all asked for more, and they gave you more, and now you don't want to do the steps. but you asked for it. See, it was easy for my era to do the steps. You'll always hear that the old timers say, we worked the steps. We did, because we only had to write 2 of them, and that was the 4th and the 8th. Because this is a program about living. Your audio has to match the video. And when it doesn't, you're in trouble. Like, I'm hoping that through my experience, strength, and hope, that whether it's the newcomer, but in particularly, I want to talk to the old timer. Because it's not the newcomer that they're talking about. Sometimes when we talk about in our literature in the 12th tradition, it talks about those ill winds that's going to come into this fellowship and blow us. And it's not the new ones. An ill wind can be someone that's been here, and they try to disrupt this fellowship, and they try to justify and rationalize the most outrageous sort of nonsense, like, you don't have to change when you come to Narcotics Anonymous. And we hear about people in their process. Process means to proceed, to move on. So when you tell me that you've been here and you still doing that same stuff, you're not recovering, you're just clean. Now, the literature tells us that when we come into this program, it tells us that all you got to do is get clean. But it says, and for many of us, you got to get clean first. And it gives you what you want. Narcotics Anonymous keeps us clean. It says, never have we found anyone who's followed this new way of life ever go back to using. But it says these are the steps that make recovery possible. Recover means to get back something that you've lost. So in order to recover, you got to uncover. And the only way you're going to do it is when you discover who you truly are. The only way you can do that is when you go to the steps. And the first thing I had to admit was that I was powerless and that my life was unmanageable. And I had to come to believe that this power, as it talks about in our step work, that this power, this force that before I even knew was in my life was always there, guiding me, that brought me to Narcotics Anonymous. And in the beginning, that power, that force, I thought it was y'all. Until I started seeing how some of y'all were living. And I know no God would do that to me. You know, sharing clean and living dirty. Like, that's not what Narcotics Anonymous is about. And I remember they said it's okay to get a higher power, but please don't make it another addict. Please don't make it the chair because somebody's going to take your chair. You know, don't make it another person because they're just another human being going through a human experience. And I don't know about you, but you know, we got to be real, real careful because sometimes we put people in places that they really don't need to be. And we got to allow people the right to recover too. Like, I have a sponsor. And I have to check in with my sponsor, and I have to say, do you got a sponsor? And my sponsor say, yeah, I got a sponsor. I say, good, let me see him. Because it's like those things, those, you know, the M&M commercial during Christmas, they do exist. I need to know that your sponsor exists. Because sometimes we get in this process and we forget to do the basics. And for me, it's real important that even though I have 24 years, like, I have to have a sponsor. I have to have a sponsor, even though I've learned on this journey. In the third step, when I made that decision to turn my will and my life over, I was turning it over to that force. And that force has been with me the whole 24 years that I've been here. I want to tell you that the fourth step allowed me, through the God of my understanding, to learn some things about me because I blamed you. I blamed being black in America. I wanted to know why, because I wasn't light-skinned with long hair. You know, why? And God said, because I built you that way. I wanted to know, why was I such a strong personality? He said, because I was building you to become a leader. I wanted to know why I didn't fit in certain groups, because I was taught to be an independent thinker. And I didn't learn those things until I got into Narcotics Anonymous and did a thorough 4th step that my sponsor was able in the 5th step to share with me some things that they saw in me that I did not see. And by them doing that, and by her doing that, it allowed me to be free, to allow me to be me with those character defects, like those things that I try to kind of like protect you from seeing about me, to come out. Started coming out without my permission. Like when y'all be saying you spotted, you got it, like y'all didn't make that up for no reason. So when I be seeing things like, my little radars be going up, and I be saying, she thinks she cute. Yeah, because you be thinking you cute. And what happens is that I've learned in this process, like when I get ready to go to judge somebody, I got to be real, real careful, because I don't know from which rock you've crawled from. That's why I like to hear your stories. And a lot of us are afraid to tell our stories. But let me tell you something. It was those stories that told me about my yets, that reminded me of my agains. And so when we come in here and we got to guard ourselves from each other, it becomes a problem. Because I don't know about you, this is the only place that I could talk about that deep, dark, nasty, raunchy, funky shit I did. And y'all still keep saying, keep coming back. And I'm going to tell you something. When you don't get into the steps, you don't know about spiritual principle. And that's why you can take a person's story and try to use it against them. But I still say, share your journey. Free somebody else. And I learned about that, because in the 7th step, I learned how to become humbled enough in order for me to see that, you're no better than anyone else that's inside the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. But I remember in that 4th step, though, I was telling God, I was like, God, get him. And God was like, God, my sponsor said, just write down, write down all the reasons why you think you use it. I was just writing, and back then, y'all, you knew who was going through their 4th step, because it was a draining but a healing step. You be coming in the meeting like, you all quiet, and they said 4th step, right? And you be like, yeah. But the 4th step was a powerful step. Because when I don't know about you, it was everybody else's fault. Like, it was my parents' fault. My parents wasn't addicts. Like, my parents, I learned through step work, like, my parents never said, daughter, when you grow up, I want you to be a crackhead. They've always wished for me to have the best and to be the best. And I remember saying, God, in that 4th step, get this one, get that one, get this one, get that one. He said, don't worry, I'm going to get them. Ooh, Tanya, I guarantee you I'm going to get them. You just keep doing these steps. And then I remember we got to the 8th step. And God said so subtle to me in my ear. He said, okay. You know how them people like you want me to get them in the 4th step? Okay. Now I want you, Miss Didn't Do Any Harm, to write down all the people that you've harmed. I said, oh, that's going to be easy. That's going to take 5 minutes. But it's something about this process that God meets you where you are, because all of a sudden my memory started coming back. And I started writing about some things that I had done that I wasn't too proud of. And I remember God said, so do you still want me to go get them? Or would you like the slate to be clean? And when I got on this journey, my life was starting to change. And I was like, God, I wanted to be clean. He said, good. In order for you to get clean and to have this new way of life that I'm about to show you and take you to, I need you to go back to some people that are still dealing with your harm that you've done. And let me tell you something. If you can't find them, I want you to diligently search for them. And if they're dead, I want you to go to their grave. And if you owe somebody something, other than a drug dealer, I want you to go and find that person, and I want you to give them back what you took from them. See, I want to tell you that God don't bless mess. Like, you're not going to live this happy, joyous, and free life in Narcotics Anonymous, and there are people that are still dealing with the harm that you've caused. Because this is a spiritual program, and it tugs at the spirit of humanity. Like, God didn't get you clean to come in here and fuck with people. God didn't get us clean to keep this to ourselves. Like, we're on assignments, whether you want to believe it or not. And that assignment is to carry that message to the addict that still suffers. But God ain't going to let you just carry a message until you get the message that he wants you to carry. But in order for him to do that, God has to clean you up. That means I got to clean you out. I got to let you get rid of some of that dust you got on you. So that when you carry that message, it's going to be a clear and clean message. That's why I need you to go back to those people that you harmed. And whether they accept it or not, I want you just to do what I told you to do. Now, I will tell you that because I was young in my addiction, it wasn't too many people that I did harm, because it says most of all, you harmed yourself. And my experiences have been, for me, when I did my 9th step, was the people that I went to, like, half of them didn't even remember what I did. And then the ones that I had to repay money to didn't want it. And of course, you know, my disease said, all right, that's fine. But my recovery said, you got to give it to them. And I can tell you, I've had experiences where I go to make an amends, and I would make that amends to those people. And they were like, just you being clean is enough. And I had to tell them, I belong to a 12-step fellowship that requires me to do this. And I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for me. And I'm going to tell you something. Some of those experiences were scary experiences. But God did not save me from shark-infested waters to allow me to die on the beach. And I had to understand that. And I went to those people. And I can tell you that there's a freedom that you get. Like, God meets you wherever you are. And the freedom that I got was that after I made all these amends and I found everybody on my list that I had written, and I'm talking about I did a thorough 8th step. It wasn't like you do it 1 week and it's over. Like, I had to diligently write and think back and remember things. There were some people I just didn't remember. But guess what? Even when I did remember them, it was important that I still acknowledged them. And I remember a freedom that I got when I went to the various people. It's a freedom. It's like a high, a euphoric high. And I remember that 10th step. God said that now that I've cleaned you up, and if you are truly grateful for this life that I've given you, I want you to always look at what you can do to other people. But most of all, I want you to remember on a daily basis what you could do to yourself. And that's why we do that little just for the day and living clean for the day and go through that little pamphlet on the 10 step on a daily basis, because it is so easy to slip back into those old ways. And it talks about prayer and meditation. I always have to pray to God, God, please let it be your will. And sometimes I got to sit there and just wait, because I want to tell you about a disease that sometimes disguises itself in people, places, and things. And I have a disease also that lingers within me. And I have this voice. She whispers here and there. She be like, ever since you got into this fellowship, like, you soft. You just let people say what the fuck they want to say to you and do whatever. Like, just let me come out and play. Just for a minute. I want to tell you that I've accomplished a lot of things since I've been here. I was able to get my college education. I was able to get a government job that I'm about to retire from after 30 years of working next year. I can tell you that I'm almost finishing with my PhD if I could just get through this process. I can tell you that my relationship with my family has been restored. That I sit within my community as an estimable person. And although money, property, and prestige will divert us from our primary purpose, I got that. But I'm talking about I am a productive member of society, and productive members of society, like, we don't go to jail. I work in one. And sometimes I have a disease and it comes through people, and my disease will say, fuck them up. Especially when I come in here. Because what they get to see is the product of step work and hard work. And sometimes when who I am meets who you think I am, there becomes a conflict. And I'm going to tell you that I don't think about every day what I'm going to use. And this is not cockiness, because any of us could use. But my God already told me, never have it ever seen anyone who had followed this way of life ever go back to using. And so when you ask me, why do I keep coming? I keep coming because more will be revealed. I keep coming. And sometimes my family, I'm going to tell you something. My family tell me I spend too much time with y'all. They be like, and sometimes when I be sharing with them about some of the things I go through with some of the people in here, sometimes I don't even know how the hell I be in the middle of it. But you know what? When I share it with my family, they be like, why are you around those people? Get away from them people. You've been clean all these years. What are you still dealing with them? Because God has not removed me from you. You know why? Because I am you on any given day. And what I've learned is that no matter what, we gotta keep coming to give back to the newcomer. I'm gonna tell you, sometimes it's very hard. It's hard to stay because the fellowship is changing. It's still the same program, but the people are changing. And our dynamics of how we can see. Back then, them dope fiends, they didn't sit up there. Listen, they wasn't gonna keep messing with your clean and crazy ass. Their thing was truck fool. Next minute, bam! Another one bites the dust. Because they understood the importance of needing each other and having to help one another. And we come in here and we act like We don't need each other. I need you. I need you to survive. And I try to not harm other people through the words of my mouth or my actions. And sometimes, being the addicts and the recovering people that we are, we will go off course. But one of the things that I've learned is that I know what my predecessors taught me in order for me to stay here this long. And they told me that there's no right way to do wrong. So when that disease wants to tell me to justify my behavior through instant gratification, I have to look at the long-term effects of my actions. And I keep coming because they came for me. And when I forget that this power that helped me to get my life together 24 years ago, when I forget that I could never, ever repay this force back again, when I forget that he has not told me to leave Narcotics Anonymous yet, when I forget about the newcomer that's coming through the door that need to see that even 24 years later, I still sit in the front, I'm doomed. The only time I get an opportunity to finally leave Narcotics Anonymous is the day when y'all will be utilizing me in my funeral. Because we don't never, ever recover. It's an ongoing process. And when I forget that we have a responsibility to carry the message to that addict that still suffers, and when I forget that at any point that addict can be me or that addict can be you, I'm doomed. So I keep coming. I keep coming because more and more is getting revealed. And the more I keep coming, the more I know that I don't know as much as I think I know. So I just want to leave you with these 4 things before I turn it over to the next speaker. And one of the things was that I always talk about the 4 tenses, the things that we know. There's things in life that we do know, and then there's things in life that we don't know. But the 2 that gets me is the things that I pretend to know that my dumb ass don't know. And the things that my dumb ass don't know that my dumb ass don't know till one of y'all tell me. Now let me explain these 2 to you because some of y'all confused. Like, I know how to bake a cake. I know how to cook. I know how to shoot. I know how to do things like that. I don't know how to fix a flat. And that's obvious. But what about the things that I pretend to know that my dumb ass don't know, but you know? Like when I first started smoking weed and people turning you on, and now it's your turn to buy. And now it's your turn to buy. And I pretend to know like I know how to roll weed. And I'm rolling up the branches and it's cutting through the paper and all that other stuff. And then there's somebody who knows, they're saying to themselves, she don't know. And I realized that I pretended to know things that I didn't know because I didn't want to be vulnerable. Because to be vulnerable meant that you had an opportunity to take advantage of me. So for a long time, I pretended to know things that I didn't know. And that's just like, some of y'all in here pretending to know you know how to stay clean and your dumb ass don't know till somebody tells you. And I haven't gotten to the point that I know. I don't think I know it all that I can say I can leave this fellowship. So instead of me pretending to know something that my dumb ass don't know, I just say that I don't know. And that opens up the door for someone who does know to help me on this journey. Our message is hope. Our promise is freedom. That an addict, any addict, can stop using, lose that desire to use, and find a new way to live. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Hey family, I'm an addict named James.
Hey James.
And it's a great day to be clean as always.
Yes, it is.
I'd like to thank my higher power for allowing me to be here. For that, I'm truly grateful. Grateful for the program of Narcotics Anonymous for giving me a life worth living. I'd like to say welcome to all the newcomers. Please keep coming. This program does work, but you have to do something different. And I say that because it takes work to stay clean. First, I'd like to thank the committee for asking me to share on this topic, how long do I have to come? Thank you for sharing your experience, strength, and hope. Appreciate it. Welcome, newcomer. Thanks for sharing the meeting. This is truly an honor and a privilege to be sitting where I'm sitting because, you know, sometimes in my mind, I think I don't have nothing to give back. I remember reading in our literature where it says you'll see the newcomer come in and their gaze are always down, they stay clean, they get a year clean, they start to smile. 2 years later, they're sharing at a workshop, they're sharing at a speaker jam, then you see them here 5 years later. Well, that's me. That's me. You know, how long do I have to come? To the day I die. That's for me. I want an infinity chip. That's my goal in this process of recovery. Not only learning how to live one day at a time, but that's the ultimate prize. The infinity chip, to die clean. And I'm grateful for my predecessors for giving me the opportunity to learn how to live one day at a time. So in remembrance of one of my predecessors who passed recently, I'm gonna read something that he always read. Based on our experience, we believe that every addict, including the potential addict, suffers from an incurable disease of body, mind, and spirit. We are in the grip of a hopeless dilemma, the solution of which is spiritual in nature. Therefore, this book will deal with spiritual matters. We are not a religious organization. Our program is a set of spiritual principles through which we are recovering from a seamless, hopeless state of mind and body. Throughout the compiling of this work, we have prayed. God grant us knowledge that we may write according to your divine precepts. Instill in us a sense of your purpose. Make us servants of your will and grant us a bond of selflessness, that this may truly be your work, not ours, in order that no addict anywhere
That's right.
need die from the horrors of addiction. And that is so true. All that we do in this process of recovery is not for us.
That's right.
It is for that addict yet to come. It is for the newcomer. See, I had predecessors teaching me how to live before I knew how to live. I'm originally from Savannah, Georgia. I'm the oldest of 3 kids, and I came to Narcotics Anonymous because I didn't know how to live. My life was unmanageable, and I wanted the pain to stop. I was hurting so bad. So I came to the meeting after serving like 2.5 years in prison. A friend of mine brought me to the meetings because I wanted to do something different. And my first home group was Free at Last How. They met on 36th and Bullock on the corner in the hood. And I lived on 40th and Jefferson in the hood. And I was wondering how I was going to get to the meeting without stopping. Predecessor said, take the long way.
That's right.
Just go the long way. I'm like, okay. And that's what I did. Because I wanted something different. I didn't want to die a using addict. How long do I have to come? Until I learn how to live and be okay with me on the inside. I was taught that this is a one day at a time program, that I was going to encounter some things in my life, that I was going to need a relationship with a God of my understanding. I was going to need a relationship with other recovering addicts, because there was going to be some things that I was not going to be able to encounter or endure by myself. And anyway, I needed help. So there was these men at Fred Last Howe Group. They gave me some simple instructions. They told me to come early and stay late. They said, here go the key. I think I had about 30 days clean, because when I got out of prison, I made a decision that I'm going to try it one more time, and I didn't like the way I felt. So they gave me the key. I'm like, y'all don't know me. Like, yes, we do. You're just like us.
That's right.
So they gave me the key at 30 days. You come to the meeting, an hour before the meeting, you open up, you make the coffee, you set the chairs, and you put the literature out. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Scared as hell, but I did it. They gave me a sense of responsibility. And I was living with my grandmother at the time, and I told her, they gave me the key to the meeting. I got to go to the meeting every day. She said, okay, how you going to get to the meeting? You're going to have to take me. She said, okay. And she did. That gave me my first sense of that I belong. That I was in the right place. So I did that. And at that time, that group had a lot of predecessors in the group, but they weren't coming to meetings. So we had this one predecessor showed us how to do it. He showed us how to chair the meetings. He showed us how to count the money, log it in the book. At that time, it was about 6 newcomers from various backgrounds. And we banded together to hold a meeting together because the predecessors wasn't coming. Once again, a sense of responsibility, something I never had or was capable of doing, because the disease of addiction robbed me of all of that. Even though I played a big part in it, it robbed me of how to be responsible. And being a member of that group allowed me to find who I was, but I had to ask for help. And at that time, this man came up to me and said, I'm going to be your sponsor. I'm going to show you how to live. I'm like, okay, because I ain't know what to do. I just did what y'all told me to do. And at that time, I was grateful.
That's right.
I was truly grateful that someone was going to take some time out to show this trifling ass addict how to live. And then this predecessor who was showing us how to maintain the meetings, he started giving me literature because I liked the literature. He said, buy you a guide to local service, buy you a guide to world service, and read about what the program of Narcotics Anonymous is about. And that's what I did. And I started to learn, and I started to go out to different meetings all over our area. All 6 of us, we stayed together. We hung out. We went to each other's houses. You know, we got to know each other's families. And I remember when I celebrated my first year clean, the room was packed from people from all over Georgia. And I was like, wow, all these people here. Because you visit various groups. You support other groups. And it was like, wow. So that's what I continued to do. I kept coming. At that time, I didn't work, so that's all I did was meetings. And I went to meetings all over. And I developed a knack that I wasn't the cliquish type. I didn't care who was going with who was doing who. I just wanted to go to the meetings, all of them. And people will have a falling out with this person. I'm still going to the meeting. Because that was what I was supposed to do. Because the disease of addiction tries to rob us of our freedom. You know, in our tradition, it talks about the internal and external forces that could destroy us. I never saw any external forces. It was always internal. It was us trying to destroy us. And the only way I recognized that was hanging out with my predecessors. Watch them. And at that time, the predecessors started coming back because the newcomers was taking over the meeting. There was no one else. We did what we had to do. We wanted to stay clean, and that's what we did. And so I kept coming. But one thing happened in that process of recovery. I got a sponsor, I started working steps, but I was still keeping secrets. I was still hiding a part of the behavior that I did not want to let go. Y'all told me to keep coming, just don't use no dope. Do it till it hurt. So I did that until it hurt. It hurt so bad that my clean date changed because I didn't want to get honest. But y'all told me to keep coming back still, no matter what. And that's what I did. So the revolving door started. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to come back because of shame and guilt. And I stayed out for about 10 years.
Wow.
Due to my inability to get honest with myself, to allow y'all to truly help me in this process of recovery. But when I did make it back, when I did make it back with my ass dragging, I called the predecessors. I told him that you need to come get me. I got to turn myself in because I got to go to jail. He came and got me, took me to my grandmama's house. My uncles was outside. They wanted to kick my ass because I had stole my grandmama's credit card, drained the bank account. That's what we do when we use. Anybody's subject to get hurt. And it didn't matter. I was at my lowest point. So I went to jail, did my time, but I asked for more help while I was in jail. I got into another program, and it was a 2-year program, but I made it 26 months because I still had that inability to get honest with James. That program led me back to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and y'all was still here. Y'all was still doing what y'all needed to do to stay clean one day at a time. So I jumped into the middle of the boat because I truly had enough that time. And since that day, I haven't found it necessary to use.
That's right.
Nothing. Y'all told me some things were going to happen in my life that I might want to use over, like a death of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a relationship. So I keep coming because today I truly understand that I don't have to use.
That's right.
But what I have to do is continue to be open-minded, honest, and truly honest with myself, because I can still lie to myself. Because this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, it is also insidious. And I remember asking a predecessor about what does insidious mean. He said, imagine yourself walking down the street and you're passing by a bunch of bushes and you jump out. That's insidious. I get myself every time. I was like, wow, okay. Because what I'm learning to understand that we are more similar than we are different in this process of recovery.
That's right.
We've done a lot of the same things, been to a lot of the same places, but what I do know, we can identify with the pain. We can identify with the loneliness. We can identify with the insecurity, the low self-esteem. That what bonds us. In my life today, it's wonderful. I love this program with all my heart. I show up. I suit up every day. I love recovery. I love addicts. My life is about recovery because the program of Narcotics Anonymous has given me a life worth living today. It's given me a reason to stay. Despite my thinking. Am I perfect? No. In my step process, I've learned that those character defects are just arrested. They ain't going nowhere. They locked up with the disease because they can be reactivated at any given time. I choose not to activate them. What I have learned today is that my life can still be unmanageable. And it has been through my present wreckage. Not the wreckage of my past, but the wreckage of my present. because in the last couple of years, some things has transpired, still due to my inability to accept personal responsibility for my finances. Things begin to change once I went through the steps once, and I went through them again. I'm on my third round of the steps, and a lot has been revealed to me because I've arrived at a different place in my recovery. It's no longer about the dough. It's no longer about pointing my finger, blaming people, places, and things for the condition of my life. It's about me today on a deeper level. What are you doing, James, that's causing these problems? Because once again, it starts with you and end with you. That's why I keep coming. I have to keep coming because I still don't know how to live on a lot of days. I still want to act out on insane thinking, but I can't. Because y'all told me I can't. But y'all said, if I can, because once again, a predecessor told me, okay, first come the thought, then come the act, then come the consequences. So, if the thought come, think about the consequences that's going to come behind the thought. If you're okay with the consequences, go ahead and act on it. And if some days I might be comfortable with the act, and that ain't good for my spirit, because I learned how to develop a relationship with God, and my understanding that I need to constantly feed my spirit on a daily basis. Am I perfect? No, I still fall short. So that's why I keep coming, because I don't want to die. I want to learn how to be happy with James today, to enjoy life, to learn how to continue to interact with people even when they piss me off. It's still okay. Even when you piss me off, I can step away from your ass. I gotta love you, but I ain't gotta like you.
That's right.
So I keep coming because I'm in a learning stage. In April 14th, I have 9 years clean. And that's truly by God's grace and mercy. But I had to do some work. I had to be willing to give up some stuff. I had to be willing to surrender my way of thinking. Am I perfect? No. And 2010 really showed me it really showed me how this program and how much y'all love me when my grandmother died. She was the rock. She was the woman that I stole from. Even though she gave me a roof to stay, she would never give me a key to the house or the code to the alarm, but she allowed me to stay in her house. She said, you got to be in before 12 and you got to call before you come. And if you call at 12:01, you got to sleep on the porch. I had to follow her rules.
That's right.
Because I was living with her.
That's right.
And I was clean. But I was living in her house.
That's right.
And when she died in 2010, it was like a part of my heart was cut away. But the beautiful thing about program of Narcotics Anonymous gave her an opportunity to see me change.
That's right.
She got a chance to see me become a productive member of society. She saw me a chance to grow up. She saw me get married. She was able to see me not be that trifling, low-down, grimy person I was. And that was due to the program of Narcotics Anonymous. So I thank y'all for giving me and giving her that opportunity to see me change and grow. There's still a lot more work that need to be done. And a lot of days I am willing to do the work. But on a lot of days I'm not willing to do the work because where I'm at in my step work. But I keep coming no matter what. See, that's what I've learned. No matter what, you keep coming. You keep showing up because what you're going through is not for you, James. The grief process is not for you, James, because I saw the evidence in other recovering addict lives when they came to the meeting. My mama just died. My grandmama just died. They came to the meetings and shared. So that's what I did. So in 2012, when mama died of cancer and HIV, y'all was right there once again. You're not alone in this process. And that's what I did. I came to the meeting. This is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through. This is what I gotta do. I've gotten to the point in my recovery and in life that I was able to take some insurance out of my mama because she didn't have any. I only learned that in here. That sometimes we're not getting clean for ourselves. We're getting clean to help our family, people that we met. So when I got married in 2008, and as a result of being clean and being in the program, I learned how to be in a committed relationship. But I told my wife I need to take some life insurance out of my mama because I know she ain't got none. She said, okay, that's what we gonna do. So I was able to give back to the woman who gave me birth, who gave me everything that she knew, which was life and the knowledge that she had when she came up. I didn't have the best, but she gave us what she could, and that was her love. So when she passed and I had to go home, and I told my brother and sister, this is us. I'm just a big brother. She left it to us, and we're going to keep it. Now, we have the insurance, we pay for it, and we'll take care of the rest, and that's what we did. I wasn't the type of, we're going to do it my way. Whatever y'all want to do. Because the program of Narcotics Anonymous had given me some tools to use. Be in a humble state. You're a servant to them. Because they were in active addiction. And so I'm grateful once again for the program of Narcotics Anonymous, for showing me how to live, for showing me how to be responsible in that area. Because I never thought I was going to be responsible, but being responsible at the home group level, I was able to incorporate that into my own personal life. How I keep the money at the group, that's how I keep my money at home today. I got a ledger. I write down everything, because that's the way I was taught. This program helps me in all areas, even when I had to file bankruptcy, which was one of those things that I created due to my inability. Because when I got clean, I was able to get some stuff. But my predecessors say we can always get stuff, but you got to learn how to keep stuff. I hadn't got that part yet. You know, I was just, wow, I got it. They gave me a credit card. Wow. Okay, let's go swipe. Okay, James, you got to pay them folks their money back. Oh, they gave me a car. Oh no, this is a God car. James, you got to make payments. So I'm getting all this stuff. You know, I'm in a new marriage. You know, and it's all this new stuff. But I saw y'all go through the same thing. But no, y'all came to the meetings. And what I liked about when I moved to this area, how the predecessors were sharing where they were at. They were sharing what was going on in their lives. So that helped me share where I was at. That I didn't always just like you shared. It ain't for the me. It's a damn lie. It is for the me. It affects my recovery.
That's right.
Yeah, I got a sponsor, but I can't always get in contact with my sponsor. That's why I have a network of men that I trust today. They say you got to have that one somebody you can tell everything. And I have two somebodies, my sponsor and my former sponsor. Because this mind will still trick me that I can't tell y'all. And I know it's a lie, but it'll tell me in my own voice that I can't tell y'all. So what I've been learning and doing is to share where I'm at, how I'm feeling, and what I'm going through. Because the newcomer needs to see that we do go through stuff. We still have those same old feelings of, I want to use. I want to cheat on my wife. I want to spend money I ain't got. See, I have to tell that thought that comes. Because I want to live. I want to continue to live. I want to continue to live so I can get my infinity chip. It takes work. And I keep coming. Because the program of Narcotics Anonymous is so simple that it works on everything. It works on my marriage. See, I'm married to another recovering addict with a whole lot more clean time than I am. And that's good. She don't work my program, and I don't work hers. But know what? It's good to have her when I have that nightmare or that thought, hey, wake up. I just had a dream that I use. because I can't call my sponsor 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Maybe I can, but he might not pick up the phone. But I have access, help right there. And I hate when I hear newcomers, man, I got a problem, I got an issue, and I held on it to the noon meeting. But what happened to the time that when the problem happened to picking up the telephone? See, for me, I never had a problem picking up the phone, because when one dope man didn't pick up, I called the next one.
That's right.
And if that one didn't pick up, I called the next one. Mm-hmm. See, I had no problem picking up the phone. See, I kind of utilized what I did in active addiction for recovery. See, I had no problem showing up early and staying late. I had no problem asking for help. It took me a while to learn how to ask for help, but I didn't. Today, I'm so excited about being clean, because I understand this journey that I'm on is never ending. It's always a continuous journey, because there's always more work that need to be done, because there's still more stuff being revealed about my life today. Mm-hmm. There's more stuff being revealed about me and my interaction to interact with other people. God gave me a gift to cook. That's what I do. I'm a sous chef, and I love what I do. But I have to interact with people at this job that don't have a program. So I have to take my program with me when I go to work, because I enjoy what I do. And I work with these people, and I try not to judge. I look at them like they're human, just like you are. Remember when you did those things, how you act? Love them unconditionally, because y'all taught me how to love people unconditionally. Love them right where they at. You don't have to hang out with them. You don't have to just love them right where they at. Mm-hmm. Pray for them. That's what I learned to do in this process of recovery. And a lot of days I don't want to pray for them jokers, but it be pissing me off. And that be my disease. They're just another human being that need to be loved, just like you needed to be loved when you first got here, and still do today. Wow. I'm an active service junkie. I love service work, because it has given me the opportunity to interact with people in different areas of service that I never thought I would be able to interact with. My home group is First Step Vision of Hope. We meet 6 days a week from 12 to 1, 3 to 4 on Thursday, Saturdays 12 to 1:30, and it's the best home group in the CSRA. That's my home group since I moved here, and I've been a trusted servant since I got here, because that's what I was taught. Because when I moved from Savannah up here, I asked my sponsor what to do. Continue to do what you've been doing, James. Service work. It'll keep you clean, and it does. I want to do a lot of things in service. I want to be a part on the regional level. I want to do something on the world level. But my sponsor say you got to crawl before you walk. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. You know, I enjoy learning about this fellowship. We have so much history in this fellowship. I love the old stuff, and I love the new stuff that's coming out. I can't wait till the tradition workbook come out, because I want to learn how to work the tradition in my life on a deeper level. So I keep coming, man, because the newcomer needs us. We need the predecessors, and the newcomer needs us. So I can't keep this gift that I was given, you know, because it's not mine to keep. It's our higher powers. He designed it all. Everything we do is for him and to help the newcomer. That's what it said right here. So I keep coming so I can give back what was so freely given to me. It is truly a great day to be clean, and I understand today that no matter what I go through today, that I don't have to use. I don't have to act out on insane thoughts today. I don't have to cuss people out today. I've learned how to walk away, and my mind be like, that is not you. No, that's the old me. wanting to cuss, because recently I did cuss somebody out at work. But I'm so grateful that I could go back and make amends. I don't have to put them on my 8-step list. I can take care of it right now today, because the 10-step tell me I can take care of the wreckage of my present.
That's right.
I don't have to wait. I don't have to harbor on ill feelings anymore when I do stuff that I shouldn't do. Because once again, it starts with me and ends with me.